Ooh, we are having a heat wave in the Pacific Northwest. It was 105 degrees today, but not quite as bad yesterday or the day before. And I did manage to get some work done this week despite the heat, and there was plenty of material to make a great video for you guys, so let's just jump right into it. Well, the tools that I was waiting for just came in the mail, and I need to give a big thank you to Nicholas Blomdelin. This guy, you are so awesome. Thank you so much. So he sent me this awesome pliers set, like all the tools, all the pliers made by this company, Tecton, and it's not an ad for them. It's just Nicholas had a credit. I've never had a pair of pliers like this, and there's been a number of times when I really needed them. And for those of you who know, you know, when you have the right tool for the job just happens. It goes like that. The best is this hammer that Nicholas got me. And you're like, what's so special about that? It's just a ball peen hammer. Well, first of all, boom. It's a dying breed, you guys. Good to see. What's in here is some lead shot. So I'm going to shake this near the camera. Hopefully you guys can hear that. There's just little lead BBs inside there. Yeah, Nicholas, you don't know how valuable it was that you reached out to me, man. This was my ball peen hammer that I was going to use. I just recently carved down the handle so that I could bash it down, the head down onto the handle further. And you can see I mangled it up here trying to drive that wedge in at the correct angle so that it actually expanded into the hole, because the whole head of this was kind of popping out every time I used it. Night and day, so much better. Let me demonstrate. I'm going to hit the anvil here. I'm going to hold the handle back here by just the tip, and I'm going to lift it up and let it bounce off the anvil. See how it doesn't move? It just goes thud and stays right down. 100% Chinesium. You can see the dents in the ball peen here. For all I know, it is mild steel. Anyway, same test here. Yeah, it makes a world of difference. But the final tool, the coup de grace of the kit here that Nicholas sent me, is this pry bar, where I can bash on the end here with my dead blow hammer. And I'm going to need this tool for certain, because when I was down there at Manny's shop, I watched him take apart one of those upper A-arms using a tool just like this. So yeah, this is going to be something that's necessary. So time to dig in and start disassembling all this up here. And normally I would just go to town and start taking things off as I saw fit and try to solve the problems as I got to them. But given that there is an instruction manual for this job, I'm going to go read it. And wow, I should just stress what a luxury it is to have such a fantastic instruction set available for this job. But it's kind of a wall of words and it's a bit daunting. This is the printable version that Manny sent to me. You should print this up on paper so that you have it right there while you're working on the truck or the bus or the motorhome, excuse me. But look at, there's this instructions link which opens this website, and I will include this in the description down below. If anybody is thinking about doing this job, you need to go read this. I'm serious. I should have read this weeks ago, and I could have ordered the tools and the extra parts. And yeah, like I said, it's just such a luxury having all the knowledge right there for you. So you need to, don't make the mistake I made. Get on it quicker. So because I don't have these extra parts and these tools, I'm not going to be able to complete the job straight through. I think that I could do this in a day and a half. It's what it looks like to me if I had everything that I needed. But the goal for today in this video is just to disassemble it to the point where I've got the upper A-arm removed and I can do the grinding and refurbishment of that part. First thing to do is to pry off the hub cover here. And then you want to remove the cotter pin, which is holding the castle nut in place. Now, get you some PB Blaster or whatever, flavor of bolt remover, rusty fastener remover that you have, and liberally spray that on there. You're going to want to do this probably, I don't know, once or twice a day for all of the time that it takes for you to wait for your 1.5 inch socket to come in the mail. And while you're in here, you might as well spray all the other nuts that you're going to have to break loose as well. All right, I've got the upper A-arm taken off here on the passenger side, and let's go over to the driver's side, and I'll tell you the order of operations to get this far. Get the cotter pin out of the castle nut. Get yourself an 1.5 inch impact driver socket wrench. This thing cost me $20. I was lucky because one of the auto parts stores in town could get next day delivery. Other than that, I would have had to wait for delivery from Amazon or somewhere, because like only one single auto parts store in the whole of town had this. Home Depot doesn't have it. Harbor Freight doesn't have it. So yeah, that was kind of a hard tool to get. Now, I didn't need to have my wife put the brakes on the motorhome. If I had been using my long torque wrench as a breaker bar, I definitely would have needed to have brakes on. But because I got to use my impact gun here, it came right off. And after that was out, I undid the nut here and the nut here. This nut here you can use the impact driver on. This nut here you must use the long breaker bar. The impact driver can't get in as the frame kind of pushes out to the front here. So, or actually I think I got that backwards. This is the one you can't use the impact driver on. Anyway, yeah, you get those nuts off, you push those with a punch, you punch those bolts back through, take this bolt off, take that bolt off. You can then push the, this is just an oil, plunger, so you can just push it down. It's not under any spring tension or anything. Push that down, pull that part out. Take off the nut under here. It's also a castle nut, so you'll need to remove a cotter pin. At this point, you can start using this fancy tool where you just sort of slide it over there and tighten this, which will push on the bolt, and that will pop that universal joint out of place. Now, the hard part for me was breaking apart this brake fitting. You got to put a wrench on the two halves here on this side of the metal flange. So ignore this big, nice purchase. You're trying to get to these two, fasteners on this side. So once that's apart, the brake line, you got to kind of plug it. You put a little rubber cap on it so it doesn't drip too much. And now you should be able to basically just pull this off. So as the whole knuckle here kind of flops down on you, you can punch through the axle out of the splines. So this basically just slides back and you end up with your axle just sort of dangling. See, just like this. Now I could pull it out from up there as well, but if I did that, I would start to leak transmission fluid. I think it's transmission fluid, so I don't want to do that until I've got a bucket under there. But I will be replacing these drive shafts. I had new ones that go with the new front end. So you guys see how the knuckle is kind of flopped down here? The final step to getting the upper A-arm off is to get this same tool up under there and pop off that universal joint stud from the bottom. Just push it through. Now that I've got my upper A-arms popped off, what's next? I need to perform surgery. So these inserts here need to come out, and that's going to involve some cutting and some pressing and all kinds of nastiness. But I also need to take a grinder to these rivet heads and pop this whole plate off so that we can put a new plate on there with a different size of this universal joint stud. I don't know what to call that sort of, I think it is called the universal joint. It's just sort of this ball joint thing. The problem is that when I was down there at Manny's shop, I think we forgot to get me the new plate that goes on here. And so I think I'm just going to end up sending this whole A-arm down to Manny, and I'm not going to deal with popping this off. He's got all of the adapters and the special press to just get that right out of there with ease. So I think I'm just going to let him, the professional, with the professional setup, do the job, which means, I don't know, I might be waiting a week or two until I have the refurbished upper A-arms. The next thing I want to tackle is getting these lower A-arms from Manny all cleaned up. And to accomplish that task, I'm just going to go to town with the grinder here, and after all the rust is cleaned off, I think I'll hit him with some rust converting primer and then paint him. Yep, my hand is indeed tingling numb, and you can see there's pieces of the wire brush stuck in my shoes and my pants here. I've pretty much killed that brush. I'll need to get a new one of those. And it's decently clean. That's a good first pass. There's been some confusion in the comments section about why I would go to such great lengths to program a microcontroller here just to run a single LED bulb on the side of my motorhome. And some of you guys think that I am way overthinking this and that there's much easier solutions out there. And I get it. But I really want to, first of all, say thank you guys so much for being just so polite about it. You think I'm an idiot, and you're not saying it like that. You guys are just awesome, and I really appreciate that. I do. So let me just make a demonstration here. I think that some of us are visual learners. I'm definitely a visual learner, and diagrams are a communication tool, and I was attempting to communicate with you guys using this, but it's easier to just see it in action. Seeing is believing, and that's why I've made this prop. Now, this left switch here is to represent the on and off that comes down the line, down the wire from the switch on the dashboard to the running lights. So running lights here represented with white. That's the main running lights. The right switch here is the blinker. So when the blinker's on, it pulses just like that. All right, now I've got this other LED here, and that is meant to simulate the side marker light, and it's a single bulb LED. So the way that I currently have it wired up, when I turn the running lights on, both the side marker light as well as the front and rear running lights get turned on. But the turn signal still only operates at the front of the motorhome. All right, so let me connect the blinker as well to that same side marker light. So both of these lights now should send a signal to the side marker light. So let's turn the running lights on. Hey, look, all the lights come on. Now let's turn the blinker on. Look, everything blinks. If I turn just the running lights on, they come on and they stay on. That's awesome. That's what we want. But if I turn the blinker on, nothing happens. It just stays on constantly. Okay, so this is what's called a Schottky diode. It's a one-way valve for electricity. Electricity only flows in that direction. It cannot go backwards. And most people are familiar with diodes from what's called a bridge rectifier. It's a very, very simple way of converting AC current, like the type of current that comes out of your wall socket, to DC current. And that is an entirely different application than what we're dealing with right here. I've got two of these now installed right there. So we can see when I press the running lights on, only the running light and the side marker come on. The turn signal is now isolated. And when I operate the turn signal, also the turn signals are isolated. So, hey, fantastic. My turn signal operates both the running lights and the front light, the front blinkers, and the running lights activate both the side marker and the front running lights. But the problem is, what if you're driving at night, you have your running lights on, and you also want to use your turn signal? The side marker light does not blink. Diodes can be useful, it's just that they don't solve our problem. And of course, the easiest solution here is just to use two LED bulbs on the side marker. So we have running lights and then we have blinkers. But I love the look of this single round LED bulb here. It just looks so clean and I don't want to clutter it up. So my original inclination was to use this blinker unit on the side view mirror. I just don't like the fact that this is going to stay on while that's blinking. I'd like all of my lighting to be consistent. So I want this bulb to both be side marker and blinker, and this to be side marker and blinker as well. But I really do think this is going to be the optimal solution, just the best functionality with the most clear communication that you want to change lanes to all the other drivers around you. And it's just a matter of solving the puzzle for the first time. Once I've solved it, getting that little package, the Arduino MOSFET package, all wrapped up, duplication is easy. All of you guys can just really easily copy it and solve this problem for your motorhomes as well. Or even your classic cars. If you've got another GMC or Chevy or any GM product from this era that has that same wiring, you'll be able to use this solution. But I'm waiting for components to arrive in the mail before I can make any more progress on the blinkers. So let's talk about that big hole in the side of the motorhome. Even though I've had this grate ready to be installed on that hole right there, I haven't done it. It's not riveted in. And I had this just sitting in the hole for a while, but then the wind blew it out one day and I didn't put it back in. And the inevitable consequence, of course, is that I now have a hornet's nest just inside the hole. So we're gonna take this here vacuum and suck up the hornets that are sitting on the nest right now. Here's hoping I don't get stung. There he is. Angry hornet. All right, I'm getting out of here. There's one hornet inside there, so I got one. All right, let's try this a different way. Sorry about the light from the camera there. It's gonna kind of blow this out, but what I've got going on here is a plastic bag with the corner there, and I'm just gonna grab that nest. I'm gonna get stung. Well, that was exciting. No stings. I think there's that guy. He's still alive. Not anymore. Look at all those guts. Gross. We'll just keep the louver in the hole for the time being. So the blinker project is coming along, and the front end disassembly is coming along as well. Made progress on both those fronts. It's slow going, you guys. I heard another YouTuber, he does like electronics engineering work, and he one time said that the death of projects is delays. And it's just so true. That's what makes a project like this really difficult. I've found in my life that the projects that were easiest to do were the ones where you had a team working on them. And so one guy's job was just keeping you with tools and materials and, you know, everything you needed so that you never slowed down. And when the work just goes like that, you get into a groove and it seems to snowball and you just work faster and faster and make better and better progress. So this project is not that. And it requires, it's kind of like starting fresh. So it definitely requires some willpower to get out here and start working on it when I have the downtime, when I have the free time. So I am making progress, you guys, and I really appreciate you for watching. But most of all, I appreciate these guys. These are my Patreon supporters, and that's just wonderful. I'm a small little group of you, but you know who you are, and this is who you are, and you're making things great for me here. So thank you so much. So I got to send those parts to Manny, the A-arms. I'm going to send him the upper A-arms, but I have to wait until I've got the lower A-arms removed as well, because he needs those lower A-arms as like a core. You know, he needs to modify them for the next guy for his conversion. So I'll just be sending him, you know, kind of a big package. That'll be expensive, but and he'll send me back upper A-arms because, yeah, that's just such a bummer. I guess I could just have him mail me the upper plates, those little plates that need to be on there. That would be faster, but then I'd have to figure out how to do all the extra work. So, you know. Anyway, there's a delay, but it's not going to kill this project. All right, we'll figure out something else to do next week. There's just so many things that I'm sure, even though we got to wait on the front end, there's stuff to do. So thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.